Hey guys, RC Peck here. I had a question yesterday in my 2K training from a client living overseas, and probably about a third to maybe 40% of all my training clients over the last 20 years live overseas, meaning they don't get paid in US dollars. They may have access to US stock markets, they may not. And what I've found is, first of all, the principles and the rules are the same whether you live in South Africa or South Dakota. But I want to bring up this one because I thought it was a good example of being taught how to ask or being taught to ask the most powerful question you can. So what he asked was, this person lives in Canada. He said, so RC, what's the better way to invest? To invest in a hedged Canadian dollar hedged strategy to own the S&P 500, or to just own the S&P 500 straight? And when he first asked that, I said, hold on, I'm thinking, because I understood what he was wanting to ask. Like, what is best for my money? And one of the first principles I teach all my training clients is to do your best, get the question you're asking into some sort of a price chart question. And so I was silent for maybe 20 or 30 seconds. I said, I think the question really is, A, can you invest in both of them? He said, yes, I can invest in both of them. I'm just wanting to figure out which is the best. And so I said, well, what we need to do is pull up the price chart of both of them. And so rather it being a should I be hedged or should I not be hedged, which is a really difficult question to answer, I think a better question is, well, do you have a symbol of the hedged fund you can buy and the unhedged? Now, the unhedged is just buying the S&P 500. So I'm going to use SPY. I said, let's just look at the two lines. And instead of saying, should I be hedged or not hedged, I think the better or the stronger question is, which line is growing my money better? And so on the screen here, you see a blue line and a red line, and it just super stretched out to probably about 2014. But it almost doesn't matter where I start. So the blue line is the unhedged, or it's just the S&P 500 in US dollars. And the red line is the S&P 500, but priced in Canadian dollars or hedged for Canadian dollars. And so again, getting rid of those terms, which can be really confusing, should I hedge, should I not hedge, is let's get a symbol of both of them and let's just let the price tell us what has been doing well. So the blue line is the S&P 500 with dividends reinvested, and the red line is the S&P 500 hedged for the Canadian dollar. I said, I think this is the stronger question to ask, because now we're letting price tell us, right, whether one is better than the other. We're getting away from terms, we're getting away from confusion, and we're getting right to price. And one of the things that I train my students to do is to talk to price, to ask price. As I've said before, and John, another one of the training clients, he goes, I'm a pricer. I'm not a timer, I'm not a trader, I'm not a buy and holder. I'm a pricer. I study price. I'm a student of price. I kneel to the altar of price, or I pray to the altar of price. And so here, what's great about learning the most powerful way of asking a question is you can cut through all the noise and simply get to, well, look, the blue line has been outperforming the red line. And when you're trained, you get trained on how to ask that question. And so you can go back in time and you can actually look at the difference with, again, whether you're hedged or not hedged, or which line in the past has been better for your money. And again, this is not necessarily how to, this example is not necessarily how to look at price charts, though that's part of it. The more important step is, what question are you asking? And is that question the most powerful question you can ask? Because what I've noticed over the last 22 years of training people, and over the last 30 years of me being a student of price and student of the markets, is the question matters most. And most of us have been taught to ask the wrong question. And that's not a bug of the system. That's actually a feature of the system, right? The system being the big box advisor world or the pick of the month newsletter world, is the feature is that they've taught you to ask the wrong question. And when you get trained to ask the most powerful question, then it becomes very clear how to create that certainty and how to take control back of your money. But here's the biggest thing. Someone has to be open to someone else saying, I actually don't think that's a good question, or I think that's not that strong of a question, right? If someone is super sensitive and their ego is going to be hurt like by a feather falling on it, that person would get reactive and say, are you telling me I don't know how to ask good questions, right? So what I notice of all people who take training, they are open to having their beliefs challenged, right? So I don't have to try to couch the answer, be soft and go, well, there might be better questions. Like, look, that's not a good question to ask, or that's a weak question, or that's a question that can really confuse you. And that has nothing to do with me. That person has to come in with that mindset and be open to having someone say, yeah, that's actually not that good of a question, right? Because I don't want to have to, and this is true with all coaches, have to find the right way to be gentle. Now, sometimes you want to be gentle, of course, but it saves time to go, look, there's better questions. I think the question is this. And it's one of my first principles to make sure that when you ask a question, it's a price-based question. But it's really the student meeting the teacher halfway that can make this. And so when we went through this, and this literally was in yesterday's, I'm recording this on Thursday, this was in yesterday's coaching call, to get to a place where someone can take industry terms that are used to confuse you and overwhelm you and have you lose control, and to replace those with a price-based question and go, oh, well, the blue line's been clearly outperforming the red line over X amount of periods, X amount of time frames, X amount of ups and downs and overs and arounds. And so then you're left with, well, over the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, the blue line has been outperforming, which is part of the answer. Then the next question would then become, okay, how will I know, or how long will I know to stay in it? Or how can I ask the price chart how long to stay in this case, the unhedged position? And those are the steps that I take my training clients through. But you have to start with that most powerful question. And once you have that, it's going to lead you to the next most powerful question, which is usually, how do I get in? How long do I stay in? And how long do I stay there? So thanks, guys, for being here. I appreciate you listening to these. Our next training, our next 2K class is starting on September 15th. The next cohort is starting then. So if you're noticing yourself wanting to be part of that or wanting more information, just know that we'll be sending out more information. But September 15th is the next start date of the next cohort. Again, guys, this is RC Pack with Fearless Wealth. Thank you for being in my world, and I look forward to seeing you guys, talking to you on the next video. Okay, bye.